Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Metcher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Adam and Kara Storey. Adam is Diocesan Director of the Office of Marriage and Family Life at the Diocese, and Kara is Director of the Storey family. Many jobs she has, I'm sure of it. They're going to talk about the two upcoming Milestone Anniversary Masses celebrated by Bishop Joensen on October 1st in Des Moines, October 15th in Harlan. But before we get to today's interview, let's find out what's on the Bishop's mind.
We look forward to a lively exchange with the stories, as always. So
yes.
The dynamic between the two of them is a great witness. But hint of fall in the air and not gloating, but just a little bounce in the step for Cyclone fans.
That is correct. Yes.
The Hawkeyes, again, concerns there, but we'll focus on more important things this week. A week of grace. September seems to have so many saints' feasts and other significant moments for us. I'm privileged this week to be having Mass at the Bishop Drum facility in Johnston.
Mm-hmm.
The Guild there has their annual Mass, so we're lifting up all the weak and the vulnerable and those who've gone before us there. But then also gathering with ecumenical leaders in the Amos organization. We're hosting the Diocese of Des Moines this past week, and that was a good exchange, I think, promoting Christian unity and seeing where we can do practical steps to lift up the community and charity and justice and all over there, particularly maybe some families at risk who are part of that also. And then a feast that sometimes goes unnoticed, Wednesday's Feast of the Triumph of the Cross, which is actually a great solemnity. I was at St. Joseph's in Winterset to celebrate confirmation, but I was relieved to find that there, unlike the previous month when I was at St. Joseph's, where my crozier stand collapsed and my crozier hit Deacon Eric Pugh before clattering to the floor, an ominous sign for my episcopacy, but thankfully the crozier stayed upright, so we won't read too much into that, as we're part of that as well. But we think about the cross and the cross that people bear in their lives, whether in families or other ways in which that's there. It is that instrument of God's kingdom project to bring us into being the church that he wants to continue to form. The cross is the sign of solidarity among all those who suffer, God suffering with us and for us. It's also a source of grace and strength, the promise of life and joy that will eclipse death and sadness. The letter of the Hebrews tells us that Jesus endures the cross, heedless of the shame, for the sake of the joy that lay before him. His joy is our joy. And so to be drawn into this mystery of the cross, the full length and dimensions, is to know what true love is and to become capable of such a love. We think about world events right now, and obviously Marian Feast of the Birth of Mary, that was on September 8th, but some other significant losses in our world, and Queen Elizabeth II is one of those, Kelly.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, Queen Elizabeth, as you mentioned, she passed on the Nativity of the Feast of Mary, so that was kind of significant. I read some articles that just kind of related how she was Queen of England for 70 years, for a long time, and the Queen of Heaven. But yeah, a lot of people have been paying attention to the story. She had ascended to the throne in 1952, and during her coronation, she spoke about her Christian faith. She said, I asked all of you, whatever your religion, to pray for me on the day of my coronation, to pray that God would give me wisdom and strength to carry out the promises that I should then be making. And so she said, throughout this memorable day, I've been uplifted and sustained by the knowledge that your thoughts and prayers were with me. So, it's going to be, a lot of eyes are going to be on the country, and her burial will be on.
A great solemnity, something that the Brits do quite well, is circumstance and ceremony. But I think it measures to the moment, if you will, and that we need to mark these things. And ritual, as the poet John Ciardi says, is not meant to be sterile or empty, but is to be full of reverence and something immortal. We kind of slip up beyond time in that way. And so you mentioned the Mary, Queen of Heaven. That's our primary patroness in the Diocese of Des Moines. And so obviously all mothers, including our condolences with Father Christopher Pichut and his family as they've lost their mother, Raimundo Ray Pichut, much beloved in St. Augustine Parish. And I had the privilege of sitting with her at kind of their women's event. And, you better have your wits about you, because she was going to test you and see what, is there more than meets the eye, in terms of surface appearances. So we commend her to the Lord as well. And all mothers, Our Lady of Sorrows, the cross that they bear the day after the Feast of the Triumph of the Cross also. So much grace for us, but the algorithm of the cross that helps us and allows us to love our parents, our spouses, our siblings and children, and newfound neighbors in the way that we know our hearts are called to do.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll visit with Adam and Kara Storey to talk about the Milestone Anniversary Masses coming up later in October. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Knights of Columbus, Borman, and Pfeiffer agencies serving the Catholic families in Iowa. Knights of Columbus is a fraternal benefit society providing financial security to members and their families, specializing in life insurance, long-term care insurance, disability income insurance, retirement annuities, and you can reach Knights of Columbus field agent Dan Ginther at 563-689-6801. That's 563-689-6801. Thank you, and God bless.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Established in Des Moines in 1924, St. Vincent de Paul assists those living in poverty to become self-sufficient by helping to remove roadblocks on their journey out of poverty. St. Vincent de Paul helps with food, clothing, and shelter, while also offering classes in financial literacy, high school completion, career readiness, and prisoner reentry. Shop, donate, volunteer, serve. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul, svdpdsm.org.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. We are here with Adam Storey, Diocesan Director of the Office of Marriage and Family Life, and wife Kira. They're going to be talking about the 2 Milestone Anniversary Masses celebrated by Bishop Joensen on October 1st in Des Moines and October 15th in Harlan.
So great to have you, Kara and Adam, with us. You know, I've been fortunate to be at table with you and to enjoy, and then also this past April to baptize your youngest child, Louisa Day. That was a great grace. It's the Basilica of St. John's. So
yeah.
Easter Monday, I believe it was.
That's right. Yeah, it was an eventful baptism because of family illness that always tends to strike.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but okay.
That's a part of the memory,
yeah. So, and Kara, you know, when I talked to Bishop Nicholas of Sioux City, he still says that he hasn't forgiven Adam or the Diocese of Des Moines for snatching you away. You were involved with the Diocese of Sioux City. You're used to working for the church.
Yes, yeah. I worked there for about 2 years for the Catholic Globe, is what it was called then, as a reporter.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I've seen your contributions in the Catholic Rural Life magazine and other things too. So kind of a freelance journalist, among other things.
Yep, finishing up an issue for Catholic Rural Life right now.
Okay. So, are there going to be memoirs of family life or not with your children? And
they will be burned. They will.
Maybe someday. I don't know if our kids will forgive us.
Yeah.
But your own vocational witness, and Adam, obviously your path. You know, you considered the priesthood at one point, but then discerned that was not what God was calling you to. But benefiting from that formation, as we would hope any man would. But
absolutely.
Yeah, Kara, when you met Adam, did you sense there was anything distinct about him, or that this guy was going to be quite a project for you?
I remember falling asleep like 2 days after I met him, just thinking about the situation, and I heard this voice say,
when you met
No. And I was thinking about it, and I just heard this voice say, "You're going to marry him," and I said, "No." And here we are, 12 years later.
She's been repeating that ever since. Yeah.
Is that true story? True story?
That's true story.
Even the part about no?
Yep.
You heard this voice.
Oh, my gosh.
It was. Yep.
It was Adam standing outside the window. So, but Adam, ultimately, you know, you've come to be the director of the Office of Marriage and Family Life for the Diocese of Des Moines, and that was also kind of a windy path, too, to get to there.
It was. So, working for the church, when I graduated college, the first thing is I taught theology at Dowling, which I really loved. That was a great place to be. But then when there was this opportunity to work in marriage and family ministry, I thought of just how important, how fundamental the family is for the formation of young people, and how profound the effect of a family that worships together, that prays together, that lives a life of faith is for these young people. And so even though I really loved Dowling, I loved what I got to do there, that invitation into family ministry, it made sense, because if you want to serve young people, you got to take care of the family.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel that even there at Dowling Catholic, you were indirectly ministering to families? You know, I mean, and could you sense maybe when some of the young people were struggling with issues in their family?
So the latter, definitely. Yeah, the latter, it was, the family is just the biggest influence on any young person. And so you see that in positive ways. You can see that in ways where perhaps there's wounds or things that need to be healed. So, yeah, you did see that. And one of the things I love about Dowling, which I love about our diocese, is just what a tight-knit community it is. The whole Dowling community, it wasn't just the students, but it was the families. It was an entire community you got to be a part of, which was a profound blessing to be a part of.
Okay, yeah, well, marvelous. So you brought all that as kind of background and into the office, and also vice chancellor as well, too.
Yeah.
So special projects. Oh, we better go to Mr. Story here. So
yeah, sort of a utility player at this point, which is fun.
It's good to be. Yeah. I've been called that too as a priest. You know, expertise in nothing. A kind of utility player.
Yeah.
So here's where it leads too. So. The institution of marriage, we're lifting up and celebrating those who've had the grace of living different benchmarks. But you also work kind of on the front end, both of you, with marriage preparation in our diocese. Could you just talk a little bit about that experience? And sometimes you guys collaborate too, right, in making presentations and things?
Yeah. Well, marriage preparation is a privileged moment. To get to, enter into a relationship and talk to these couples when they're so excited and they're so passionate about their upcoming marriage, and to get to enter into that and try to contribute something, try to give them some skills and give them a vision that's going to help their marriage thrive, that's a gift. And what do you think?
Yeah, I think the thing we hear over and over again from the couples, the thing they most appreciate are the stories that we tell them from our own experience. They want to hear, they want to see a couple, what did you guys live through? How did you deal with this? And all of those types of things, which I think for them, it gives them ideas, it gives them inspiration. And we've always told the couples, if you need anything, please reach out. And we've had couples who, after the course, have come back and they've sat in our living room and they've shared deep personal things and they've cried and they've asked questions and they've wondered. And it's definitely a gift that the Lord is able to use us, hopefully, to draw them ever closer to Him.
And obviously then you establish a zone of trust with them, that they could be vulnerable with you and share some of maybe the burdens they're carrying and things maybe they're working out. As one who, as a parish priest, coordinated marriage preparation in 2 large parishes and involved a sponsor couple and the retreat experiences and then one-on-one working with them in dialogue, it was always a privileged place. But not everyone's automatically enthusiastic. They're thinking about the wedding, right, and not necessarily the marriage. You have these day-long experiences, again, weaving theology and the kind of human drama. But what do you think the average attitude is, the typical attitude?
Yeah, when an engaged couple comes, I think on average they don't have a full understanding of this. Nobody has a full understanding, but they don't come in with, always at the same place that the church is. But they have, I would say, they have pieces of the church's vision, or they have elements of it. And so the goal of the workshop, and part of the goal of marriage preparation as a whole, is to try to awaken those things, to maybe try to complete the picture, to try to uncover some desires that are on their heart that maybe they're just not aware of. And so there is a disposition. What the church offers, that's what couples want. They want a permanent, faithful union that reminds them, that points them to the way that God loves them. That's what they want. It's just about awakening that, or about uncovering that. And, with any couple, you're not done at the time that they get married, and sometimes you're more successful than other times, but it's a worthy goal, so it's worth working towards however they receive it.
And I think most are very receptive to it. Every now and then you might find someone who sits with their back towards you, and you can just tell, I'm just here. I'm just here to get my paper at the end and everything. But I think most are receptive. It always, when we get to the part we talk about sexuality and the church's teaching on that and natural family planning, it can get a little uncomfortable sometimes. But I've been doing this for 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And that more and more you see a lot of people nodding their heads, I think, as I wouldn't say natural family planning, but, fertility awareness methods are becoming more mainstream as far as organic or the green movement, mm-hmm. Don't want the chemicals in our body. You have more women especially who are yes, I get it sort of thing. So that's good. But
It's another prime instance, really, where reason and faith, where nature and faith are meant to be in harmony, and that there's a wisdom there that nature discloses, that our faith lifts up to a new level.
Yeah, for sure, and you can see it, and I've seen the shift in the last decade. But I think too, we give the couples time for couple discussion, and we really encourage them to say, "Hey, you up until this point, you might have been talking about the wedding, right, for the last how many months. Make today about your marriage." And we say, if there's anything in the questions that you're nervous to talk to your fiance about, if you're afraid of being vulnerable, we really encourage you to take that risk and be vulnerable, because this is the time to get it out there. You don't want to bring whatever this is into the marriage. And if you're afraid they're not going to love you because of whatever you're going to share, you might want to stop and take a moment and think about that. And then we also say, hey, whatever your fiance is going to share with you, take a step back and receive it in love, because they're taking a risk with you, And so to have those opportunities for the couples, I think, is what really makes the day special for them.
Mm-hmm. My experience is, that the kind of generational shift, that young people, young adults are remarkably transparent in terms of talking about their sexual histories and things like that, but maybe not necessarily the case when this is the person with whom I'm going to lay down my life in that way. All right, so that there's a healthy maybe discretion that can come in.
Yeah, I think a struggle in any married couple, and part of living marriage well, is learning how to be vulnerable with your spouse, and that's it's a work in progress for every couple. It's something that Kara and I had to learn and had to work on throughout our marriage, and still do. But yeah, so maybe there's different struggles or different places where people will be hesitant about that, but inviting them into that, I think, is really important.
Mm-hmm. And you've done this numerous times, these experiences, and maybe, I don't know if you try and choose dates where there's not a significant football game on a Saturday or anything.
I have had...
shaking your head.
I had
Kara's the rabid fan, right?
I am.
She is. Yeah, and one year I did schedule it on the Iowa State game.
Gosh.
I think all of those couples have left the church, and I'm sorry. But to the class of 2014, I'm sorry. That was an accident.
You do it once. That's grave matter.
I know. Yeah. That was a mistake. Definitely a mistake.
Yeah, so we have to be attentive to the things of the world, even if we don't let it dance their dance in that way. Do the two of you ever go home, even as you've kind of developed a rapport and you kind of know where each is coming from and the stories that they're going to be told, where you go home and say, why did you say that? Or, or that there's new insights that come to you, or, as your marriage unfolds and, life happens.
Yeah.
You add children to your family. Yeah.
What we have shared from the beginning till now has definitely changed, right? We have more examples, different examples, and everything. Sometimes in the moment, I tend to be the oversharer, so I won't go home and do it, but I might we might come back after a session where they're going to go, the couples will discuss, and I'll be like, yeah, that was weird. Why'd I say it that way? Or that was a little too many details. And he'll just nod his head, yeah. But he shrugs.
I've been in the back and oh, she's telling that story. No, she didn't know she was going to say that.
It's time for a break.
we didn't give each other permission.
Yeah. But other than that, I think we're pretty comfortable with being an open book, really, at this point.
Yeah, I think less in the workshop, but in the sponsor couple ministry where we use the focus inventory and meet with couples one-on-one. I feel like that, even just preparing for the couple to show up, has led to really fruitful conversations and, growing in our own marriage, which is good. We need to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I remember you telling me, Adam, once that one of the couples, maybe with the fiancé, the groom-to-be, was saying, well, I kind of knew where the church stood on some of these issues, but they actually have reasons why they teach.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, imagine that. It's reasonable, yeah.
Oh, what a evangelical moment. So, way to go. That's great. Well, turning to think about then, as marriage has happened, and we want to affirm and continue to accompany couples all along the continuum of their lives, on different benchmarks. So the anniversary masses are just one way to celebrate and hold up in a culture that becomes less trusting in the permanence of marriage and to celebrate them. So what's the background tradition here?
Yeah, well, this is a Mass that we've had for years, and we come together in the context of Mass. We celebrate. There's a blessing for couples celebrating milestone anniversaries, and it's a beautiful Mass. You'll always have couples from married for 1 year to couples that are married 60-plus years. And to see that whole spectrum of life, to see couples in so many different stages is a beautiful thing. And to hold them up as examples, these married couples really are sacramental examples to us of God's love for us. But to also to pray with them because, none of these couples ever achieve this on their own. I mean, we don't live our marriage just based on our own skills or our own gifts. But that reliance on grace and that, in the context of prayer, in the context of worship, to hold up marriage, I think is a beautiful thing and an important thing.
Mm-hmm. And, couples come to know and see other couples who've been walking with them. I could think about being at St. Anne's in Logan and St. Mary's in Red Oak. Some knew each other, right? And they kind of draw each other out in a beautiful way.
Yeah, well, and no marriage is lived in isolation. It's lived in the midst of community, and that's what holds marriage up. So I think to celebrate in the midst of community, that's just the context that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Do the couples who've only been married a year or 5 years, are they like, really? You want us to be part of this? And the invitation, are they kind of surprised?
I think for the couples that come, it's always really meaningful for them to have that, that opportunity to receive that blessing, to pray together again, to kind of say yes again to the promises that they exchanged on the day of their wedding. In some ways, I think the early years of marriage are the most impactful. So, yeah.
Well, let's pause there and then maybe continue the conversation.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry, including the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines and the Sarah Club of Council Bluffs. Sarah is an apostolate of the Worldwide Catholic Church dedicated to fostering and supporting priesthood and religious vocations. Sarahans strive to accomplish their mission through prayer, fellowship, and service to the bishop, priests, sisters, and all in religious formation, and in doing so to increase their own holiness. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org. Thank you, Sarahans, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Would you like to get more involved as a volunteer? Intervisions Healthcare empowers at-risk women facing an unplanned pregnancy to make life-affirming decisions, but our nursing staff can't do it alone. Our Unplanned Pregnancy Clinic seeks dedicated advocates, receptionists, and nursing volunteers to meet the needs of hundreds of at-risk patients we see each year. If you are a people person who wants to help moms with unplanned pregnancies, contact us today at 515-440-2273 or visit ivhcare.org.
Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. We are here with Adam and Kira Storey talking about the Milestone Anniversary Masses.
Let's make it very explicit for our listeners. What are we talking about in terms of dates and locations this year?
Yeah, so this year there's two Masses, October 1st and October 15th. October 1st, the 4 p.m. Mass at St. Ambrose Cathedral is our anniversary Mass. October 15th at St. Michael's in Harlan, there's the anniversary Mass. And we have information on our website where couples celebrating milestone anniversaries can sign up. They can have reserved seating, get a certificate of blessing at the end of the Mass. So that's the 1st and the 15th of October.
And I really appreciated, as Bishop, just the chance to engage and be in conversation and the receptions afterwards.
Absolutely.
I think it's just another chance to be together as a flock as well. So, and I think it inspires the parish, the parishioners who are there too. Yeah. So, I think St. Ambrose is great. And, diversity is represented and things too. But, couples who go through the marriage preparation, do they find themselves tracking into other ways where they can have more explicit relationships with other couples? Or what are some of the movements here? And what are the ways in which maybe the inevitable struggles that any couple will face in their marriage, that the diocese, the church, is there for them? Or if, tragically, the marriage does not continue. So we want to celebrate those who are able to realize by God's grace their fidelity, but that doesn't mean we forsake those who maybe the promise and hopes aren't fulfilled.
Absolutely. One of the things we talk about in every marriage prep class is we say, the church is invested in you, and not just up until the day of your wedding, that we're invested in you through your whole married life, and we're going to be here for you, with you, throughout your marriage, no matter what comes. And so there's opportunities. There's always, different retreats or different small faith-sharing communities that are available to couples, some at a regional level, some at a parish level.
Christian Family Movement,
yeah,
which is very
Christian
big within
Family
the Hispanic
Movement.
community.
Yeah, absolutely. Teams of Our Lady is another big one in our diocese. And those are beautiful groups, and I always encourage couples to get involved in a community where they're going to live out their marriage. And then every marriage does, have struggles, have trials, have difficult moments. And we have a beautiful ministry in our diocese called The Third Option, which is a chance for couples to come together to, concretely grow in communication skills. But I think more important than that, to be a part of a community of couples that get it, that have had their own trials, have had their own struggles, and to be vulnerable about that, to not hide those and not share those, because that's a part of every marriage. And then, at times, if a marriage does break down, we have a ministry in our diocese called the Catholic Divorce Survival Guide. It's through Ascension Press, which is for individuals that have suffered through that experience, where they can find healing and they can find hope even after going through that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's not just, is that an opportunity that's available throughout the diocese, more prevalent maybe in the Des Moines Metro?
It's definitely more prevalent in the Metro, for sure. It's something I would love to see that grow more broadly in our diocese. And there have been opportunities outside of the Des Moines area for those healing experiences. Father Bob Shaman for a long time ran Beginning Experience, which was another opportunity for that healing. But wherever you're at in the diocese, wherever you live, I think the important thing is that your parish is that place of support, that place of community, regardless of what you're going through, and that the church is here to be there for you as a couple in any circumstance. I think that's an important message for everyone.
So, well, it's a great grace to be with you, and Kara, just to be around your family, to see them in church. Sometimes, they're talking to God or whatever, but there's really a sense of the domestic church, and maybe that's not a theology you're impressing upon them right now, but is that something you have a felt sense as we begin to wind down here with a few seconds left?
Yeah. Getting them participate in the life of the church, the life of prayer, the liturgical life, celebrating feasts, singing Happy Birthday to Mary last week on her birthday. Those types of things are things that we definitely try to bring into our home as we try to, raise little saints.
Adam and Kara Storey, thank you so much for the grace of being with you. Look forward to continuing to collaborate.
Thank you so much. This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.